So what does a project manager actually do all day? Have you ever wondered if they're just glorified meeting schedulers, or is there something more going on? Well, today we're going to pull back the curtain on what is truly one of the most critical roles in any successful company. Let's dive in.
Right? This is the classic stereotype, the person with the clipboard and the endless just checking in emails. But honestly, that is such a tiny and kind of misleading piece of the puzzle. The truth is, a great PM can be the single biggest difference between a project that succeeds spectacularly and one that just crashes and burns.
So here's our game plan for today. We're going to start by defining what a PM really is. Then, we'll take a peek into their daily life, break down their core responsibilities, and look at the skills they absolutely need to succeed. We'll even map out the typical career path. By the end, you'll have a way better idea if this high-impact role is the right fit for you.
All right, let's kick things off. We're moving beyond that clipboard stereotype. What is a project manager really?
Okay, I absolutely love this analogy of an orchestra conductor. It is just perfect. See, a PM doesn't play every instrument themselves. They're not writing the code or designing the graphics, but they are the ones making sure every single expert on the team is playing in harmony. They set the tempo, they guide the flow, and they make sure that the final performance is a total masterpiece.
And just to be super clear, let's talk about what a PM is not. They are not just an admin. They're also not the same as a product manager. A product manager focuses on the what. What problem are we solving? What should we build? The project manager is all about the how. How do we get it done on time and on budget? And here's the kicker. They often do this without any formal authority, leading through influence alone, which is a real superpower.
Okay, so we've got the what. But what does the job actually look like day to day? And maybe more importantly, how does that change as you go from being a rookie to a seasoned pro? Let's take a look.
As you can see, the focus shifts dramatically as you climb the ladder. A junior PM is really deep in the weeds. They're learning the ropes, updating trackers, taking notes, supporting the team. Then, a mid-level PM starts to take real ownership, running the daily stand-ups, managing their own projects. But at the senior level, the whole perspective zooms out. It becomes about strategic alignment. You're juggling multiple, complex projects at once, and, just as importantly, you're coaching and mentoring the next generation of PMs.
So whether you're junior or senior, there are some duties that are just the absolute bedrock of the role. Let's break down the 5 core responsibilities that every project manager lives and breathes every single day.
Think of it like a big adventure, right? First, the PM draws the map. That's all the planning. Then, they assemble the crew, building and leading the team. Along the way, they're the ones navigating the rough seas, managing schedules, spotting risks before they become disasters. They're also the town crier, making sure everyone, from the team to the executives, knows what's going on. And finally, they make sure the treasure's delivered and that everyone learns from the journey for the next one. Now, to juggle all of that, a PM needs a really unique mix of skills. I like to think of it as a triple threat.
First up, you've got the planner brain. These are the hard skills. It's the ability to look at a huge, messy goal and just break it down into a clear, logical, and, this is key, realistic plan. It's about seeing around corners to spot problems before they happen and being an absolute master juggler of tasks and deadlines. It's all about bringing order to chaos.
Next, and this might be the most important part, is the heart. These are the people skills. A project can live or die based on communication, and the PM is the heart, pumping information and motivation to the entire team. They have to negotiate, persuade, and inspire people who don't even report to them. That's not just management, that is true leadership.
And finally, we have the toolkit. These are the technical skills. A great PM speaks the language of the project, whether that's Agile or Scrum. And they are masters of their tools, like Jira or Asana. This isn't just about knowing how to click buttons. It's about knowing which framework and which software to use to build something great.
So, let's say you've mastered these skills. Where can this role actually take you? Let's take a look at that career ladder.
So the journey often starts as a project coordinator, where you're really learning the ropes by supporting bigger projects. Pretty soon you graduate to a full project manager, owning your own projects from start to finish. From there, the scope just explodes. As a senior PM, you're tackling the biggest, gnarliest initiatives. As a program manager, you're not just running one project, but a whole fleet of related projects. And then, at the top, a portfolio manager isn't just executing projects, they're helping decide which projects the entire company should even be working on in the first place.
Okay,
We have covered a ton of ground. So now, for the most important part, let's bring it all back to you. How do you know if a career in project management is actually a good fit?
Let's start with what I think is the most important question you can ask yourself. Do you genuinely enjoy bringing order to chaos? Because at its heart, that is the job. It's taking a messy, ambiguous, sometimes crazy idea and forging a clear, actionable path forward. Does that sound like a challenge that gets you excited, or one that just sounds exhausting?
And this really gets down to the personality fit. You'll probably thrive in this role if you get a real buzz from planning things out, from constant collaboration, and from being the go-to problem solver when the pressure's on. But on the other hand, if your perfect day involves deep, focused, individual work with very few interruptions, then the constant context switching and communication of a PM role, well, it might feel pretty draining.
Ultimately, I think it all comes down to this one question. The project manager mindset is about ownership and about being calm under pressure. Because when things go wrong, and believe me, they always go wrong, the PM is the one who has to stay composed, take a deep breath, and systematically bring order back from the brink. Is that person you?